Okay, so this is the new packet that students got today. And like I said in the email that you should have got from me, this is on Google Classroom. It is on the stream, and it's the most recent post. So this packet is on there. I suggest printing it off, but again, if you don't have a printer or you can't, that's fine. It's just easier as I go through this for you to have the packet in front of you to also go through the questions as well. But like I said, you don't have to print it off if you can't. Now, on the front page of the new packet is the new review set. Students are having a quiz on this on Friday. If you're quarantined, you do not have to do the quiz. I'm just going to excuse you from it, which means it's not going to hurt your grade at all. It just means that when you come back, you will not have to make up the 4-question quiz. You will, however, have to make up the test, which is going to be over the entire packet. So that brings us to page 2. And what this chapter is about is systems. And systems are when you have 2 or more equations. So, and for Algebra 1, we're just going to look at 2 equations. Once you get into Algebra 2, you'll work with 3. But right now, we're going to look at 2 linear equations. Linear means they're going to be straight lines and y equals mx plus b. And so 2 means every single problem in this packet is going to have 2 equations, that you're going to solve both of them at the same time. Now, there's 3 ways to do that. The first way is graphing, which I'm going to go over today. The second way is substitution. And the third way is elimination, which you'll get videos on those later in the week. So today we are just going to solve a system, so 2 equations by graphing. How you do that is first, make sure both equations are in slope-intercept form. That's y equals mx plus b. Then you graph each equation or graph each straight line, and then the answer is going to be the point where the 2 straight lines cross or intersect. So if I move on to page 3, we're going to do some examples. So in this top one, it's a system because I have 2 equations. I'm going to first check if they're in y equals mx plus b, and both of them are. Second step is to graph both of them. So my top one is in y equals mx plus b. Now there is no plus b, so that means it must be plus 0. So for my top equation, I'm going to start at 0, and my slope is going to be positive 2 over 1. Positive, so that means I go up 2 and then to the right 1. Up 2 to the right 1. Up 2 to the right 1. Now, you always move to the right, and I'm going to the right 1 because it's over 1. And then you can go backwards to fit more points. So there's the line of my top equation. I'm not going to draw my line through it yet, and I'll explain why at the end. So now to graph my bottom equation, the starting point would be 4, and we always start on the y-axis. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And this time the slope would be positive 1 over 1. Again, it's positive, so I'm going to go up 1, and then I'm moving to the right 1 because it's over 1. So up 1, over 1, up 1, over 1. I'm going to go backwards to fit more points. Now, you can see that they cross right here. That is your answer, and the answer is going to be actually the point where they intersect. So that would be at the point positive 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 4, 8 is your answer. Once I have the answer, now I'm going to go back and actually draw my lines. So I don't do that until the end. Again, that's just optional. I've just noticed that when you draw the lines in the beginning, it gets kind of sloppy and it's hard for you to see where they intersect. So I would find out where they cross first and get your answer, and then go back in and draw your lines. Okay, let's do the next one. So they're both in y equals mx plus b. The top one is y equals 3x plus 2, so my starting point's at 2 on the y-axis. My slope is positive 3 over 1, so up 3 to the right 1. So down 3 to the left 1 if I want to go backwards. And you want to plot as many points as possible because you don't know where on this line they're going to cross. Now, for my bottom equation, it's y equals 3x plus 0 technically. So I'm going to start at 0. And again, it's positive 3 over 1. So up 3 to the right 1. Up 3 to the right 1. Okay, so now I do have two lines here. I'm going to go ahead and draw my lines through them because you should have noticed that they don't cross. They do not intersect. That means they're parallel. Now, before you even graph these lines, you should have noticed that they're going to be parallel because they have the same slope. That was from 2 tests ago. If they have the same slope and different starting points, they're going to be parallel, which means they're never going to cross. So the answer is going to be no solution. Because if they never cross, that means there is no answer. All right, now I'm going to move on to page 4, which will be the last page we're going to do. And that kind of leads us, that no solution answer leads us into the 3 different types of answers you can get for these problems. So the one in the middle here is an example of our no solution answer. That is going to happen when you have 2 parallel lines, which means they're going to have the same slope. They're never going to cross, so the answer is going to be no solution. We've also already done, We've also already done an example like this. That's when they actually do cross. You have one solution, and the actual answer is going to be that point where they cross each other. So you can have no solution where they never cross, or you can have one solution where they do cross, and then the answer is that point of intersection. The last type right here is, well, there is 2 lines in this graph. The thing is, they're directly on top of each other. If the 2 lines are directly on top of each other, that means they share every point forever and ever. So the answer is going to be infinite solutions. Infinite means they're sharing every single point. So an example of that would be if the 2 equations in your question were both 2x minus 4. Since they're the exact same line, that means they're going to end up being directly on top of each other, so the answer there would be infinite solutions. So these are the 3 different types of answers you can get when working with a system. And again, a system means there are 2 equations in the problem. So the bottom one, to practice one more, we have our 2 equations. They are not in the correct form. I have to get both of these in y equals mx plus b before I can go ahead and graph it. So for my top one, I would subtract 3x the other side, and I would have y equals negative 3x plus 2. So there's my first one. It's now in the correct form. So I would start at positive 2 on the y-axis, and my slope is negative 3 over 1. So it's negative, so I'm going to start by going down 3, but you still always go to the right, so to the right 1. So down 3 to the right 1, down 3 to the right 1. Okay, and I'm going to wait to draw my line through it until I see where they cross, if they do cross. For my second one, it's not in the correct form because I have this 4 out here. To get 4 to the other side, I'm going to divide everything by 4 since it's attached to the y, and that'll simplify down to 3 minus 2x. So now that one's in the correct form. If you want to move this around, switch the 3 and the 2x, you can do that, because it's technically y equals mx plus b. So my starting point would be at positive 3 on the y-axis, and my slope is negative 2 over 1. So down 2 to the right 1, down 2 to the right 1. Or again, you can go backwards. So when I do that, I see they intersect right there. So you're going to actually write out the point where they cross. They cross at negative 1 of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's going to be your answer. Now that I found the answer, I'm going to go back through here and actually trace my 2 lines. So this one did have one solution, and it actually had a point of intersection. So it had one solution. Now, a few things I should note. In the past, you were allowed to use Desmos on your test. But because in this chapter, the answer is going to be where the 2 lines cross, I'm not going to allow you to use Desmos on your test. I'm going to actually give you a calculator to use on the test if you don't have one. So when you come back from quarantine and you have to make up the test over this packet, you will not be able to use Desmos. So at home, you need to actually practice drawing out your lines, not just putting them into Desmos. especially when you do the homework on Delta Math. So that's where we're gonna stop for today. Tomorrow, I'm gonna send you a video starting with page 6. And then please let me know if you have any questions along the way. Do not wait until you come back to tell me you don't understand anything. That's not gonna be beneficial for you. Okay, so please email me with any questions.